Hello and welcome back to my vlog. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Hope you're doing some of that St. Patrick's Day yoga that I saw pictures of on YouTube or on Facebook. We are on to part 5, the practice of autosuggestion by the method of Emile, Coue, revised edition by C. Harry Brooks. Section 3, the practice of autosuggestion, general rules, chapter 6. Part 2, the last part of Chapter 6. We touched on fear yesterday. For our own sakes, too, we should avoid dwelling on the faults and frailties of our neighbors. If ideas of selfishness, greed, vanity are continually before our minds, there is great danger that we shall subconsciously accept them, and so realize them in our own character. The petty gossip and backbiting, so common in a small town, produce the very faults they seem to condemn. But by allowing our minds to rest upon the virtues of our neighbors, we reproduce the same virtues in ourselves. But if we should avoid negative ideas for our own sakes, much more should we do so for the sake of other people. Gloomy and despondent men and women are centers of mental contagion, damaging all with whom they come in contact. Sometimes such people seem involuntarily to exert themselves to quench the cheerfulness of brighter natures, as if their unconscious strove to reduce all others to its own level. But even healthy, well-intentioned people scatter evil suggestions broadcast, without the least suspicion of the harm they do. Every time we remark to an acquaintance that he is looking ill, we actually damage his health. The effect may be extremely slight, but by repetition it grows powerful. A man who accepts in the course of a day 15 or 20 suggestions that he is ill has gone a considerable part of the way towards actual illness. Similarly, when we thoroughly commiserate with a friend on the difficulty of his daily work, or represent it as irksome and uncongenial, we make it a little harder for him to accomplish, and thereby slightly diminish his chances of success. If we must supervise our speech in contact with adults, with children we should exercise still greater foresight. The child's unconscious is far more accessible than that of the adult. The selective power exercised by the conscious mind is much feebler, and consequently the impressions received realize themselves with greater power. These impressions are the material from which the child's growing life is constructed, and if we supply faulty material, the resultant structure will be unstable. Yet the most attentive and well-meaning mothers are engaged daily in sowing the seeds of weakness in their children's minds. The little ones are constantly told they will take cold, will be sick, will fall down, or will suffer from some other misfortune. The more delicate the child's health, the more likely it is to be subjected to adverse suggestions. It is too often saturated with the idea of bad health and comes to look on disease as the normal state of existence and health as exceptional. The same is equally true of the child's mental and moral upbringing. How often do foolish parents tell their children they are naughty, disobedient, stupid, idle, or vicious? If these suggestions were accepted, which, thank heaven, is not always the case, the little ones would, in very fact, develop just these qualities. But even when no word is spoken, a look or a gesture can initiate an undesirable autosuggestion. The same child, visited by two strangers, will immediately make friends with the one and avoid the other. Why is this? Because the one carries with him a healthful atmosphere, while the other sends out waves of irritability or gloom. Men imagine, says Emerson, that they communicate their virtue or vice only by overt actions, and do not see that virtue and vice emit a breath every moment. With children, above all, it is not sufficient to refrain from the expression of negative ideas. We must avoid harboring them altogether. Unless we possess a bright, positive mind, the suggestions derived from us will be of little value. The idea is gaining ground that a great deal of what is called hereditary disease is transmitted from parent to child, not physically, but mentally. That is to say, by means of adverse suggestions continually renewed in the child's mind. Thus, if one of the parents has a tendency to tuberculosis, the child often lives in an atmosphere laden with tuberculous thoughts. The little one is continually advised to take care of its lungs, to keep its chest warm, to beware of colds, etc., etc. In other words, the idea is repeatedly presented to its mind that it possesses second-rate lungs. The realization of these ideas, the actual production of pulmonary tuberculosis, is thus almost assured. But all this is no more than crystallized common sense. Everyone knows that a cheerful mind suffuses health, while a gloomy one produces conditions favorable to disease. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, says the writer of the book of Proverbs, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. But this knowledge, since it lacked a scientific basis, has never been systematically applied. We have regarded our feelings far too much as effects, and not sufficiently as causes. We are happy because we are well. We do not recognize that the process will work equally well in the reverse direction, that we shall be well because we are happy. Happiness is not only the result of our conditions of life, it is also the creator of those conditions. Autosuggestion lays weight upon this latter view. Happiness must come first. It is only when the mind is ordered, balanced, filled with the light of sweet and joyous thought, that it can work with its maximum efficiency. When we are habitually happy, our powers and capabilities come to their full blossom, and we are able to work with the utmost effect on the shaping of what lies without. Happiness, you say, cannot be ordered like a chop in a restaurant. Like love, its very essence is freedom. This is true, but like love, it can be wooed and won. It is a condition which everyone experiences at some time in life. It is native to the mind. By the systematic practice of induced autosuggestion, we can make it not a fleeting visitant, but a regular tenant of the mind, which storms and stresses from without cannot dislodge. This idea of the indwelling happiness, inwardly conditioned, is as ancient as thought. By autosuggestion, we can realize it in our own lives. And that is the end of Chapter 6, General Rules. Again, happy St. Patrick's Day. Make it a great day. And bye for now.